Emergency committee have made scientific judgment of this pneumonia. The U.S. and China has a friendly history in terms of cooperation in this regard, and after this commission, the Chinese expert and the U.S. expert have shared information and prevention control measures, and we plan to conduct technological cooperation as well. At the evening of January the 27th, the NHC director, Mr. Ma Xiaowei, have made a call with his U.S. counterparts and express their command of China's effort in fighting this pneumonia. The NHC also expressed that China welcome communication and cooperation with WHO. Some countries also express willingness to provide assistance to China's effort, and China express its gratitude and command. And China is confident to fight and win this epidemic, reduce the risk, and keep this pneumonia under control. We will also be strengthening information publicity and information sharing with relevant parties, regions, as well as organizations in order to join the global effort in fighting this epidemic. And second aspect is to address the shortage of medical materials. The medical workers at the front line, especially in Hubei province, is in shortage, and the NHC have been working with NDRC and other relevant departments to make up plans to fully support. Right now, we are still undergoing a shortage of supply in terms of protection materials in the front line, but part of the capacity have been restored, and hopeful, and we are confident that we will be able to meet the demand of the frontline workers. We also talked to the communication department because some of the vehicles and vans that carry the medical materials are kept for quarantine for too long time. And right now we've talked with the transportation authority and decide that the necessary quarantine process is a must. However, we can reasonably shorten this period of quarantine so as to guarantee smooth transportation of the necessary materials. That is the two key questions, and now the floor is open to questions. Please identify yourself before asking the question. With China Use Daily, after Wuhan City closes down, there are some other provinces announced that this long-term shuttle transfer has been stopped, and what is their timetable to restore this kind of canceling of cross-provincial shuttle bus. At a critical time, Wuhan have suspended its cross-city shuttle buses, and at the same time, the city is closed down, and this provincial transport and buses and shuttles are also suspended. So this is effective measure to address the current problem and control and prevent the disease from further spreading. However, this kind of transportation suspension, if kept for too long, will inevitably affect the normal life of the public. This morning, the interprovincial passenger shuttle lines have been halted, and 16 more provinces have halted their provincial passenger lines, and 28 provinces and cities have suspended some part of their bus lines, and Wuhan and some other cities have suspended and halted, they closed down their subway transportation. So traffic control is essential to keep this epidemic under control, but transportation are not also necessary to keep people's lives at a normal state. With the Spring Festival drawing to a close, people's demand for daily necessities and transportation will continue to increase and restore. So we talk with the transportation department to issue an emergency notice in terms of transportation in the special period of epidemic control and prevention. These are the three aspects that is mentioned in this notice. In the epicenter, we continue to require that the relevant authorities carry out strict sterilization, body temperature check, and other necessary methods to keep this traffic control under, to keep the passengers' information under control. And second, after authorization, we have to make plans accordingly to make sure that the necessary personnel as well as materials transportation are effectively guaranteed. And third, the relevant leadership have to make their regional and scientific rules and regulations according to their local conditions, so that these rules need to be scientific, transparent, and down to earth in terms of the time, the degree of limitation, and time of restoration, in order to meet people's demand as well as meet the demand of prevention and control of the epidemic. With South China Morning Post, since the outbreak, many people are shopping online for daily necessities. So will there be in short supply? And is the express delivery service right now back to normal? Mr. Ho, why don't you take this question? During the Spring Festival, the express delivery service is in a waning season. However, this Spring Festival, the express delivery service have opened up more service lines, both domestically and internationally, to make sure that the emergency materials as well as basic daily necessities are guaranteed and transported in a timely manner. And Shunfeng as well as express delivery and Jingdong and many logistic companies have opened up green channels for delivery. With Spring Festival drawing to a close, in order to better fight this epidemic and meet the demand of the restoration of work, the China Post administration have sent out notice asking that the express delivery company can restore their service in a gradual manner, and also prepare emergency and special gears. In epic centers such as Wuhan, the restoration of the delivery service has to be in line with the local government's instructions and requirement in an orderly and transparent manner. From the 24th to the 29th, the total packages it amounts to 81 million pieces, up by 76%, and package delivered amounts to 78 million. In terms of the delivery service in Wuhan area, we also have worked with the local service providers to first guarantee the transportation of basic necessities, and also have given priority to packages sending to Wuhan so as to ease the pressure of the local delivery network and avoid transfer of packages in the area of Wuhan. So according to the NHC's requirement, we also carry out sterilization and ventilation to the vehicles carrying these packages. So the deliveryman can call the customer first and put the packages into the boxes in the living quarters so as to reduce people-to-people contact. The total number of delivery amounts to 870,000, and our delivery service providers are working under great pressure and workload. So we call for the citizens and the residents that do not purchase much other commodities other than the basic daily necessities, so that this part of service capacity can go to the places where they are most needed, and so that our delivery service providers can have adequate break that they deserve. Right now, the transmission of packages, the transmission of the virus is mainly through two channels, through droplets and contact. So there is a very little risk that the virus would be transferred through the packages. However, we still carry very strict quarantine, sterilization, and ventilation of the goods that are sent to deliver, and have banned any transportation of wild animals. And so don't forget to wash your hands before you unpack your packages. With CMG, with the Spring Festival drawing to a close, a large number of people would be returning to their workplace, so that the transportation vehicles will welcome a large number of returnees. What are the challenges and problems ahead of us? Thank you for the question. Today is we are drawing a close to the end of the Spring Festival, and we're still facing daunting task ahead of us that is brought about by spring travel. The Transportation Authority will continue to act upon the General Secretary's instructions and give priority to prevention control of the pneumonia, and we will be taking tangible efforts to address this problem. Namely, First of all, we will mobilize the industrial's power to answer to the level 1 emergency response, increase the efficiency, and strengthen prevention control at the transportational sector and fulfill our duties. Second, we have to carry out strict sterilization for the vehicles and as well as temperature checks of the passengers, especially at the tolling station as well as service station. If there is an abnormality in terms of temperature, this person must be held for further quarantine process. As of the 29th, at the service sector, in this service quarantine stations, we have set up the temperature checkpoints, and more than 500,000 personnel were sent to these locations. We have also halted the passenger transport in and out of Wuhan. And this chartered shuttle bus across the provinces are also being halted. For the suspected cases and confirmed cases found at the transportational system, their information will be submitted to health commissions at the local level in a timely manner. And if we have found that a passenger is diagnosed of the nCoV pneumonia after leaving the vehicle, the relevant information and the passengers on the same vehicle will also be reported to the health commissions. This year, we have extended the Spring Festival holiday, so we see a more scattered wave of returnees. Yesterday, the total number of passengers is about 13 million person time, which is reduced by about 83% comparatively. So we have to base and adjust our policy and working plan according to the national reality and strengthen security surveillance at key points and make sure that our service quality remains high, and make sure that the small passenger cars still pass the tolling station for free, and made public the road information, the transport information to the public in a timely fashion. We also realize that transportation administration is a complex business that covers a wide range of area. Therefore, the staff working at the front line also need to protect themselves because they are in contact with a large number of people that comes from all over the world, all over the country. That's why we have to work with the relevant departments to win this war. We also call for that the public can arrange their journey in a scientific way to reduce travels as soon as they can, wear masks, wash your hands, and do self-body temperature check in a frequent manner. This is the biggest care and protection of yourself and your family. I will talk about the railway sector. The Spring Festival holiday has been extended, and new situation will arise due to this adjustment. The Railway Department will also be acting upon General Secretary Xi Jinping's instructions and relevant arrangements made by the by the authorities and put prevention control of the pneumonia first. So first of all, we have to know and master the rules and the regulations and the changes of the passenger flow after the spring festival, and guarantee the quality of our services, including the canceling of parts of the tickets. We will further been strengthening the sterilization at the stations and on the vehicles. We will be organizing quarantine and temperature check at the station and on the vehicle. If there's an abnormality in terms of body temperature, we will submit that information and quarantine this person in a timely fashion. We also need to strengthen our hygienes in a car, including sterilization and ventilation, and increase the frequency of doing so. And third, we will work with governments at all levels to keep a record of the patients on board, of the passengers on board, for further reference. So all in all, we would implement the policies and so as to make sure that this pneumonia will not be spread through the railway network. In terms of aviation, this spring festival we saw a sharp decline of passenger number, and we are now fully prepared to cope with this this wave of returnees. Currently, our priority is to prevent the disease from spreading through airlines. When the plane is designed, it take fully into consideration this kind of prevention of epidemic. Therefore, the ventilation on airplanes can effectively reduce the possibility for the virus to spread on aircrafts. On top of that, we would also be strengthening the ventilation power on board and carry out sterilization process in a strict way. We also have emergency medical gears on board, as well as non-contact body temperature detector online. We have strengthened training for our cabin crew, and we have strengthened sterilization and ventilation at airports, as well as increased personnel for temperature check, and reduce the possibility for the disease to transfer through airlines as soon as we can. So when you are taking an aircraft, make sure that you wear a mask and protect yourself well. Next question, please. Thank you. With the Health magazine, some countries have taken drastic measures against Chinese passengers. Is that temporary or a long-term measures? The WHO have held another meeting of the epidemic. Do you think that this epidemic will be identified as a PHEIC by the WHO? We'll give the floor to Mr. Wu Zunyo. Thank you for that question. Let's look at it from three perspectives. First of all, by 24 o'clock of yesterday, the total reported cases is 7,700 cases, and the total number of cases abroad is 68, which is less than 1% of the total cases. That shows that we have effectively controlled the epidemic inside China instead of spreading it to larger scales of the world, and that means our measures have been taking effect. Let's take a look at one special case. A woman is traveling to Germany for business trip, and after she came back, she was diagnosed as an nCoV pneumonia confirmed case. So before she left for Germany, her parents came to see her from Wuhan. So after this information was discovered, she have noted the Germany relevant authority to notify them of possible risks, which means that the Chinese government is a responsible government. And tonight, the WHO will be holding another conference. It's an expert-level seminar, and under the IHR, WHO are holding these conferences to discuss important health issues in the world, and the experts will be giving WHO's officials advice on whether to announce the nCoV pneumonia as PHEIC. So this is a regular process. As a technical expert, I've been working in the infectious disease for a long time. I also am a veteran of SARS. As far as I know, our prevention measures are the strictest one, most strict measures. So we are fully confident to keep the epidemic under control and win this battle in the end. With China Daily, in some localities, in order to prevent the disease, some drastic measures were taken, for example, blocking the road or even digging a hole into the road to prevent vehicles from coming in and going out. So how do you prevent that kind of incidents from happening? In terms of transportation of necessities, the State Council and the CPC Central Committee have attached great importance to work in this regard. We have established two special teams to coordinate work in this regard. The Ministry of Transportation also will working with these two special groups to guarantee and work in this regard. First, we have organized a logistic office, and we work with MIT, the General Customs, the Post Administration, the National Railway Group, and other relevant departments to arrange personnel to work at specific locations to make sure that the daily necessities are transported in the most efficient manner. We also guide localities to open up grain channels to make sure to give priority to medical resources as well as daily necessities to the epicenter. Right now, we have opened up grain channels and give priority to these parts of vehicles. And last night, we also issued an emergency order to coordinate the transportational work so as to facilitate the prevention and control measures and carry out strict control and administration of vehicles to improve efficiency. We also have given priority to transportation of materials to Hubei region, to Hubei province. The Ministry of Transportation have established a negotiation mechanism with the relevant provincial level transportational authorities and make sure that the materials are transported to the epicenter in an efficient fashion. The temperature check of vehicles going in to Wuhan, if the temperature is normal, he does not have to be quarantined for 14 days. We're also making an emergency plan and transfer center to reduce the transportation pressure at the local level. As of 24 o'clock of the 29th, the capacity allocated to this regard is 102,000 vehicles, and in a total, they have transported 45,000 tons of materials to Wuhan. And in the future, we will continue our work in this regard so as to make sure the timely transportation of key strategic resources. So please rest assured that the transportation staff will try for all our endeavors to make sure smooth and sufficient supply of daily necessities. You mentioned that in some places, people would take a drastic measure to prevent to conduct traffic control. Actually, we have pointed out that we are against such behaviors. That is this unauthorized breaking down of public facilities, including roads and highways. The Ministry of Transportation also attaches great importance to this business. And we have done some field check and investigation. Most of these situations happen in rural ways, and so far no highways have been reported such illegal behaviors. But to reiterate, we have to cut down the channels for the virus to transfer, but we have to make sure that the transportational network stay connected. For the prevention control in rural area, especially those with confirmed cases, we have to make emergency transportational plan to make sure that the necessary materials can be transported in a timely manner. At the same time, we require that the relevant parties and authorities have to act upon and cooperate with public security authorization authorities to carry out traffic control at a critical juncture as well as temperature check. And these kind of so-called hardcore measures to hinder transportation as well as breaking down transportation facilities is illegal.
好，下一个问题，请左侧区第二排跑过道对第二位记者。
我是来自长江日报长江网驻北京。
With Changjiang Daily. My Wuhan colleagues are at the front line. I would like to thank the monitor for giving me this opportunity to ask a question. Right now, we see media releasing information in search of close contacts of a suspected or confirmed cases. So is it possible to really find these passengers, these potential close contacts of a confirmed patient? We saw a lot of searches online, searching for certain groups of passengers taking certain train or vehicle. We have organized a special statistic analysis group and provide such information to the local transportational authorities. This is based on big data. In our group, we have a database that is very secure. And during this period of time, the relevant statistics are provided to the local authorities. You've also mentioned that in search of these passengers, we would have to base our work on the number of statistics and time of the incident. That is the time when certain travel happened. According to available statistics, we have provided 200 pieces of information, 200 batches of information, which is actually quite a large amount. However, there are still some limitations. You may find the name of the passenger, but not necessarily the contact information of certain passengers. But we do hope that all of the close contacts can be found in time in order to prevent further spread. Last question.
请第二排右侧区域靠过道这位男记者。
Thank you. With China Population Journals, currently some international airlines have halted their flights in and out of China. Do Chinese airlines have the same plan? And what when a Chinese is trapped in foreign countries due to this kind of situation, what can we do to help them? We also have noticed such a situation. Due to the epidemic, it is an act of the market behavior during such a special time. As the second biggest aviation market, we have our working principles to guarantee the efficiency and quality of our services. Some passengers are held at foreign countries due to this kind of transportational adjustment. And Chinese Aviation Bureau will be keeping close contact with the embassies overseas, and if necessary, we will be sending chartered airlines to pick them up. Currently, the Wuhan airport is still running in full function, mainly to guarantee the transportation of the most needed materials and personnel. And the total number of materials amounted to 110 pieces. And Wuhan Airport can also cover the need of all the chartered plane right now. And currently, the international airlines have sent flights to send the passengers back, and the Chinese aviation industry can meet the demand of this group of passengers.
刚刚呢，几位嘉宾回答了大家的提问，我也感同身受。在这场全力防控疫情
In
的
this fight against the
我们各行各
epidemic,
业通力协作，
the working professionals in all walks of life are pulling our synergy together, and our
他们
health workers are
逆行者，
working 24/7 at the front line to save lives.
坚守的
And our drivers, our construction workers, and delivery men
同样在用他们的
still
辛勤努力
working during
也
Spring
保障了
Festival also guaranteed that our life is the least affected by this epidemic. I'd like to thank them, express my gratitude to them.